ladies, today's video is why you should write a letter to yourself. I have a PDF that I printed off about 2 years ago from a YouTuber who I follow, and it's basically like a deep dive into who you are, that type of thing. And on this page, you had to write a letter to your 9-year-old self. So I'm just going to share that with you. It's really short, and then I'll let you know why I think there's benefits to writing a letter to yourself. Okay. Hi, Sharla. Can you believe it? I am 32 and I have been married for nearly 11 years. My husband is a wonderful man of God, and we have two lovely girls. Their names are Serafina and Ariel. I actually like my hair and teeth now, so I smile more in pictures. Serafina is 8 and she really wants her hair in an afro style more often. There is so much to share, but here are the main things I want you to know to prepare you for life. Read your Bible every day. Talk to God every day and make Jesus your best friend. It's okay to say no if you are uncomfortable or unhappy about a situation. Watch less TV and read more educational books. Go for walks and exercise. And now that I think of it, I told my 9-year-old self go for walks, but where was I living at 9? Maybe I wouldn't want to do. No, actually, my mum used to let us go to the park actually. Even in those days, you could still send the children to the park and still feel like somewhat safe. Yeah, so if I was 9, we were living in, yeah, Annerley. So yeah, the park was local. The last thing I will say is to remember that. Oh, sorry, I'm saying Annerley like everybody's from South London or Southeast London or whatever. Annerley is a place in England. The last thing I will say is to remember that as you fill yourself with love and happiness, you will spread it to others. Love you. You are loved by God too. Right, so the benefits, the first thing is it allows you to reflect and process. I had heard of writing a letter to yourself before, but I never really considered doing it because I don't journal a lot per se. Like, I've started it in recent years, but journaling hasn't been like a huge part of my life. And now that I've started to do a little bit of it, I really like it. So it allows you to reflect and process. You're reflecting on, who was I back then, who am I now, how far have I come, what have I learned. And you're really thinking about that event or that situation. Sometimes when you're going through things, well, I'm saying sometimes, at the end of the day, most of the time when you're going through things, you're not always processing, and then even afterwards, you don't always take the time to do it. But if you have to sit down and think about a time, then you can really think, oh wow, that's how I feel about it, and that's the information I had at this time. And I know it can be very painful, so it's easier said than done, because some of you may not want to go back into, when you were 9 years old, for your own reasons. But whenever you're ready, I think it's a really, what's that word they use? Is it cathartic? You know what I'm talking about. Like, it really just lets you release, right? Number two, it helps you to recognize what you truly value. So for me, it shows, what do I value? I value God, family. I value being in good health, mentally, physically. I value, education, learning. It shows you what you value, because it's like you're saying to yourself, if I had to tell myself 3 things, this is why those videos are so popular. 30 things I've learned in my 30s, 10 things I've learned as a 40-year-old. All of these different ages, these milestones, those videos are always very popular because people always, it's that hindsight, isn't it? It's what you tell yourself, like, man, if only I had this information back then. And obviously, the tone is very different. So because I was writing this letter to a 9-year-old, there's certain things that you're not going to express to a child. There's certain things you wouldn't talk about with a child, right? But at different stages in your life, and I think I'm going to do this in my own personal time, for different aspects of my life, whether they were really happy or very challenging, I'll write a letter to myself, and then that will show me again, like, what do I value? What have I learned? How do I see myself or the people who were involved in situations at the time? So just remember that you get to see what you really value, because you might think that you really value something, but then when it boils down to it, when you really have to think about it, you realize, oh, maybe that is not as important to me as I thought it was. All right, number 3, self-awareness. you can be honest with how you really feel about certain life events. And yeah, that goes into like what I was just saying. It helps you to know like what is really important to you. And honesty is what helps us to grow. Being honest with yourself and being honest with those around you, that's the first step, isn't it? You know, if you're struggling with alcohol and you go to an AA meeting, they say, oh, hi, my name is Tim and I'm an alcoholic. You know, even though I'd have to look more into it. I don't always think, oh, labeling yourself with something, I don't always think that that can be positive, because you're trying to escape alcoholism, not say I'm an alcoholic. But at the end of the day, someone, if you feel comfortable enough to comment, you can elaborate more, because I just don't know enough. So let me not speak to that. I don't know enough about how those meetings work. But what I can say from the little that I know is that it's good that someone has to say, look, this is me. This is what I'm struggling with. This is where I'm at right now, and I'm ready to change. Yeah. So writing a letter to yourself, some people may hear that and think, oh, that sounds a bit cheesy, but it's really not. It's see it as another way of journaling, and different chapters of your life, like different things have occurred in different chapters of your life. So to sit down and write to yourself, it's like, oh, I can process this. Now I can move on to this situation. And when you're ready, but I just think it's important for all of us to give ourselves time to sit and think about our own journey, because we it's so easy to fill up our head with distractions, with entertainment, with other people's business, with all the things that we have to do and have yet to achieve. But just to sit down and think, let me actually think about my life, and let me dedicate some time to me and see what's in my own head. It's really a blessing, and it will help you to release, you know. So a verse of encouragement, Romans chapter 8 verse 28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. All right then, ladies, thank you for watching, and while you are here, please remember to like and subscribe. Bye.